This NASCAR Championship 2024 early head-to-head picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
It may be a brand new week, but of course, there's always racing things to talk about. It's the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, and this week I think we should start off with some bet talking, right? Some odds. The books continue to give them to us. We'll continue to break them down for you.
Before we get to that, you might want to fast forward 30 seconds at this point if you're listening on the podcast later, because this is going to be rough. Hey, we made a bet. I will. I'll do my best.
I was going to give you the out, but
now it's you might want to take your headphones off, but I'll give it a shot here.
Every single this. Okay,
we're doing the alma mater song, yes. Right?
Okay.
So you can lay it.
Oh, I'll set it up. because guess what?
Navy, blah blah blah.
Damn right, Army beat Navy. That was a hell of a game. It was every bit as twisty and turny as you would expect it to be. If you got the 27.5 over, you are absolutely thrilled that that one went to 28. If it pushed at 28, I'm sorry. If you got it at 28.5, I apologize for that as well. But man, what a way to go! Way to go over on a safety.
Oh man, way to go over on a safety. All right, Rod, let's get this out of the way.
Yeah. Hit it. Ready?
All right. Hail, alma mater dear, to us be ever near. Help us thy motto bear through all the years. I don't know the tune on this too, so I'm just gonna keep going. But let duty be performed well, honor be ever untarned, country be ever armed, West Point by thee, guide us thy own. All right, teach us day by night, to keep thy honor bright, for thee to fight. When we depart from thee, serving on land and sea, may we still loyal be, West Point to thee. And when our work is done, our course on earth is run, may it be said, well done. Be thou at peace, ere may the line of gray increase from day to day. Live and serve, we die, we pray, West Point for thee. That was more of me.
Beat Navy. Got to end it with Beat Navy.
Reading it, but oh well.
You have to end it with Beat Navy. That's the way they always end it.
Yeah, Beat Navy. Ooh, there you go.
That's the payoff. All right. All I wanted out of that one.
Navy had to just be like the rest of my football teams and let me down.
It was a very hard-fought game all along. I mean, there was very little offensive movement, as far as scoring was concerned until about the last few minutes of that game. But yeah, I mean, listen, it was everything you expected that game to be and more. In fact, for me,
I didn't catch most of it because it was anniversary weekend, and so we were out being busy, which I'm glad we were. I was keeping up on my phone, and I'm just like, and then Doc starts tagging me and stuff. How you feeling? I'm like, not good. Thank God I'm not watching this shit.
I was on drill and I was able to have it on in the background.
That's like a requirement if you're on drill, right? Like you
100%.
guys have to watch it, right? So that works out.
No, I was very thrilled to be able to keep tabs on it and smiling the whole time, knowing that I was going to have to at least hear Cody recite the alma mater. So,
glad we got that out of the way. As you can tell, not a musician over here.
Hey, and I was learning the Corps Cadets or the Corps of Midshipmen's hymn. So, just in case I needed it, but thank God I did.
As you can tell, I put a lot of time into learning that Army one. But
hey, listen, you paid up.
That's all that matters.
All right. So again, so we'll get to some of these championship head-to-heads. Back to NASCAR. We have about 5 that they gave us as far as drivers are concerned, and then we have 3 team head-to-heads, which is more than we had last year. So we'll definitely start breaking that down for you. I will say though, at first glance, as we take a snapshot of this, kind of, I don't want to say. Look, I'm not even going to say it because beggars can't be choosers. We begged for them. We got them. I can't wait for them to improve on them next year. However,
this offseason, we got time.
Yeah, we got plenty of time. So just definitely want to, obviously go through these all and break them down for you. We've got this. We've got some win totals for you coming up this week. And what else? I think we got one more other thing that's on there.
There's a lot more other things. I mean, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So there's win totals. There is the winning team. We can cover those. There's winning manufacturer for the championship. These are all just for championship. Top Chevrolet, top Toyota, top Ford, Ford versus Chevy, Ford versus Toyota, Chevy versus Toyota. There is groups that actually start with the letter A, which is unusual, and go all the way through H. Winning cart. The Rod Special, winning car number, over, under, odd, even, groups like 0 to 9, 10 to 19, whatever. Exactas, Quinillas. The books are listening. They wanted some more off-season content, so giving us plenty of odds, plenty of shit to talk about. We're going to talk about all of it because what else are we going to do? It's off-season.
Yeah, no, 100%. So that's going to be a lot of fun to cover. But we figured we'd start with the championship head-to-heads and work our way out from there. So we will do exactly that. But I first want to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, college football. Simply pick higher or lower on your favorite players' fantasy stats and cash in. I'm telling you right now, my favorite Underdog pick'em for today's show is Derrick Henry, over 54.5 rushing yards, higher than 54.5 rushing yards. He's going to get there. This guy needs to get all the carries in this game because he needs to manage that, keeping that Miami offense off the field. So give me Derrick Henry, higher than 54.5 rushing yards. Watch along, make your picks, maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. And when you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog's going to double that first deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. All right, Cody.
You know we're not using an underdog tonight, Rod.
No.
That would be Aaron fucking Jones. God, why? This is the second time this season, and I can't believe I fell for it again. Oh, it's looking likely he's going to play. All signs point to he's going to play on a Monday night or whatever fucking night. He doesn't play on the day of. God damn it.
Yeah, it's rough, man.
Anyway.
That's what you get, though. I mean, when you roll with Aaron Jones, you just...
Luckily, I had backup plans in place, and hopefully they pay off fine. But it's annoying because it's the second time he's done it, too. Like, if you're not going to play, bro, just tell us you're not going to play.
Yeah. No, yeah, because there's no...
It's not like whatever team they're playing against. The Giants. It's not like the Giants, like, don't have some, they're at some big disadvantage now because they didn't get time or because they were preparing for Aaron Jones and whatever.
No, they weren't preparing for
We're not here to talk about football.
All right, well then let's start talking about some of these championship head-to-heads, and I suppose we can start exactly right from the top. The first one we have is Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell matched up, both sides of this at -115. Now, just so you are all acquainted with how this works, this is the championship where they finish ahead of each other, below each other, around each other, and all that other good stuff. So this is basically who finishes higher in the championship rankings between the two So, like I said, Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, each minus 115. I don't know that this one is close as they would hope it would be. I don't feel like this is a pairing that really needs too much discussion, only because I know
I'm
this year,
interested to hear your take on this because I feel like this is a really good one.
and I don't, because I feel like, so obviously we know what happened to Elliott this year, right? Gets hurt, drops out of the championship race really, and kind of takes him out. He needed to win. He didn't. So, I mean, this was a rough season for him, but it's also he's Chase Elliott. Like, I mean, you can never.
There's one driver that's made it to the Final Four in both seasons of the next gen car.
I know it's Christopher Bell.
It is.
I know. I get that. But also, I'm okay. So we never really play the what if game because it's kind of futile to do so. But what if Chase Elliott didn't miss all those races? Do you think there's a possibility that he also could have made the Final Four?
Of course, there's a possibility he could have, but I don't know. I mean, the what if game is the what if game, right? What if he had a faster car than he did the rest of the season? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to play that game too much, but I do think this is a good matchup because I think that you get Chase Elliott here, and obviously, again, he's going to get that popularity bump, and a lot of people are going to want to bet on him, and they're going to look at him like, against Christopher Bell, okay, yeah, and they're going to smash that side. But the sneaky key is Bell has made it to the championship 2 seasons in a row. Something I do want to point out on this too, as far as the championship standings, if you are unfamiliar with or don't remember, so teams are eliminated as they go through the playoffs, but then like you kind of get thrown back into the pool there. So it's not like if you go out in the first round of the playoffs, you don't finish from 13th to 16th. You're still, everyone else is still battling for up to 5th. So the championship 4 obviously will be in the championship 4, but say Chase or Christopher Bell gets eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, Chase Elliott gets eliminated in the second. That doesn't mean you cash that. Just throwing that out there. So if you're looking at matches with Kyle Larson, it's like, oh, well, he's going to get bounced out early because of the super speedways or something like that. Maybe not necessarily the case. So want to clear that up. But yeah, I do think, I don't know. So you're big on the Chase Elliott side of this then?
I just think that if we think he's going to bounce back at all, I think that means he's going to make a tear. And I think that basically if he does make the championship 4, I think he's got a better shot at finishing higher than Christopher Bell at the end of the day, right? I mean, obviously this hinges on whether or not Elliott does make the Final Four, but a healthy Chase Elliott, why can't he make the Final Four? He's not one of those guys. He's not one of those like Ross Chastains where, he makes it and you're like, oh yeah. But I mean, Chase Elliott, you expect him to make the Final Four, right? This isn't even a Kyle Larson type of a situation where you were surprised that he missed out. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's not a guarantee either of these guys is going to make it to, and obviously the top, it's so top loaded right now with so much talent, and there's a solid 10 guys you can put in the Final Four on any given day, really. But yeah, I'm going to probably lean the Chase Elliott side too, because obviously big fan. I like him, but I do feel like this is a true toss up. I think Christopher Bell has just proven a lot. I mean, he's proven the ability to be clutch and win at the end and, win his way into these races. Sometimes he needs a little cardboard help to get there, but he can find his way to these wins and clinching and moving on to the next round. I guess you could probably make a case maybe he shouldn't have even made the Final Four this season if Hamlin and Truex don't have those issues at where was that? Texas, Bristol? I can't remember. Wherever they had their engine troubles late, kind of cost them a chance. But I don't know. I do think it is much tougher than it maybe seems on the surface. But again, if I have to pick a side, I'm going to go with the Elliott side.
Well, and again, if Elliott makes the playoffs, he probably is and represents that fourth car in there eventually, and then maybe bumps Bell out. So I don't know. It's just, to me, I feel like, it could be close, and it probably will end up being closer than I probably even have it pegged. But I still think at the end of this, Elliott's going to come out at least better than Christopher Bell. And if I'm paying the same price, like if they're not juicing this toward the Elliott side, I'm grabbing this now. Because if they do this, if they offer this halfway through the season, Elliott wins 3 or 4 races, one, you may not ever get this matchup after that.
Right.
And 2, if you do, Elliott's minus 160, minus 175 for this, right? It's not close.
Yeah, and I would say that's the more likely scenario, right? It's a lot less likely, I think, that Bell kind of goes on, at least we haven't seen it yet, where he goes on some big tear and all of a sudden he's the massive favorite in this matchup. So maybe it is smarter to get Elliott. I mean, really, these guys could end up 1-2 in the final standings when it comes down to it. Like, they're that good. They could get it bounced out earlier in the playoffs. Obviously, I think we expect them to both be in the playoffs and in contention. But yeah, Bell has been very impressive. He's done a great job. Obviously, we know Hendrick and Gibbs, kind of the top tier teams when they go back and forth. So I think this is a solid matchup. But yeah, I'll go with you and take the Chase Elliott side.
Okay, and I don't know. Did we have a chance to talk after the awards? Like after, I think we did, but we didn't really talk about much. Obviously, we
I
know
don't
that
think we
Elliott
really brought
won.
it up. I mean,
Yeah.
Surprise, Elliott won the most popular driver. Surprise, Haley Deegan won the most popular driver. I was a little surprised that Justin Allgaier ends up with Xfinity most popular
What did
driver.
I
That
say?
was
What
you
did I
did
say?
you did call it, Rod. You did. I did not see that one coming, but great call by you.
Thank you. And it's because I speak for the people. I am the NASCAR. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. You guys.
I just picked the obvious ones: Haley Deegan and Chase Elliott. If you want to go ahead and get your money in on Haley Deegan to win Xfinity this year, go for it, because
probably
nobody's beating her.
All right, let's move on to this next matchup. Two teammates, Kyle Larson, William Byron, each at -115 again.
Okay, this one is more of a question of how are these guys equal? I get it, Rod. I understand that William Byron won 6 races and he made it to the final 4, but how is anybody the same money as Kyle Larson? Again, I get it, and winning the championship is going to be hard for him always, because getting to that race is always going to be easier for him than most people. But once you get to the race, it's a different story. And I get maybe William Byron gets there too. And you've got the super speedways earlier on in the playoffs, and maybe that gets Larson and bounces him out. And then but this could be a case of don't look too far ahead, because if Byron doesn't make the final 4 as well, there's that possibility. But for me, if you're getting Kyle Larson just matched up straight up head to head against anyone at -115, how do you not take the Kyle Larson side? Again, I don't necessarily love betting on him to win the championship as the favorite, just because it is so tough when you get to that final race. But just to beat one other person, in my opinion, you've got to take the Larson side probably over everyone else in the field.
I think what they're banking on is just maybe a casual person that kind of digs up box scores to make these kind of bets, which, let's face it, most NASCAR bettors are not those. They watch the race. They don't just check the box scores at the end of the race to see where their driver finished. They're sweating it out every single lap and every turn. So maybe they're not really fooling these guys. But you look at the end of Phoenix last month, I suppose, as it were. Larson 3rd, Byron 4th, right? So probably the more casual bettors like, they finished back to back in the championship race, which probably means that they're going to be very close anyways. But that doesn't necessarily tell the entire story of the season and where the whole twists and turns. And I don't know that he makes it again this year. I mean, I know that he's going to win some races. Can't fault that, but I don't know that he's going to survive the attrition again this year.
It's going to be such an interesting year following William Byron in 2024, because he had the breakout, right? And this was the big welcome to the party. Holy shit, is he one of the better cars at Hendrick? Is Chase Elliott 3rd string at Hendrick now? Like, again, let's pump the brakes on that because of the injury stuff, right? But I mean, yeah, but we saw that from Ryan Blaney 2 seasons ago. He comes out, he wins three or 4 races, and it's like, okay, he was in the mix kind of every week, and then didn't win a race the next season, and kind of now he won the championship now, so that looks all right? But we haven't seen the long-term William Byron is just going to be good every year. We saw the flash now, and we got that, and it was a great season of that. Now his teammates both missed time and did some resources get shifted his way. I don't know how that works. I don't know how much that really affects things. But with Chase Elliott back in the fold, you've got to think that's gonna. I mean, if Hendrick is putting cars out there good enough for William Byron to win that many races in, Chase Elliott's going to have those opportunities too. I think that's going to maybe pull away from him a little. And it just like Kyle Larson, like we know he's good, and he oh, look at that. He probably just won whatever race he's at tonight. Like, and tomorrow night, he's going to win that one too. And 2 nights ago, he won that. Like, he's winning everything and anything. And he's, a season removed from 10 wins and in the Cups, or 2 seasons, I guess, at this point, but 10 wins in the Cup Series. Like, he's the favorite almost each and every week, which he should be most places. So yeah, this is a smash Kyle Larson side, in my opinion. And not to dig on Byron at all or say he's not going to have a good season, but that Kyle Larson's going to have a good season. And we just don't know. We just haven't seen a big enough sample size for, can Byron keep it up like he had this past season?
And really, honestly, this is kind of an opposite one of the Elliott and Bell one. Maybe Byron jumps out to a bigger lead, and okay, maybe they're not going to do this, but maybe they give Kyle a little bit of a plus money bump, or maybe minus 105, and you double down on it later on in the season. It probably won't happen, but you can keep an eye on it just in case William Byron does win a couple of races and Kyle is a slow starter again, and maybe you're just like, oh, okay, the books adjust and say, well, maybe Byron does have a better shot this year, and then you pounce on another round at lower odds for it. So I don't know.
I get that he won more races, but some of these other matches we're going to talk about, they're minus 120, minus 110. Like, that seems like it just makes so much more sense. I don't understand why it's the same price. So yeah.
Teammates, same equipment type of a thing, I guess. If
we're considering drivers, though,
no, not even close.
No.
No. So, all right, we will get back to more of the driver head-to-heads, but first, let's tell you about Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. You can enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets' revolutionary parlay optimizer tool. You're going to get hit rates broken down by leg as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rates for any bet to learn which players are hot, which picks have value. So stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, so the very next one on here, you talked about this being juiced, and this is definitely one that's juiced. Joey Logano, minus 130. Tyler Reddick, plus 100. If you have listened to any of the off-season shows, I have a feeling you already know where Cody lands on this one. And at plus money, Tyler Reddick probably just jumps off the page to you, doesn't he?
Oh, I would have took Tyler Reddick at minus 130 on the other side of this. So much love for Tyler. If you're strapping in for 2024, get ready to hear me talk a lot about Tyler Reddick. He is my guy for this season, and I think that, again, I've said it multiple times. This is going to be his breakout season. He is going to be good. You're going to give me plus money. I'd probably take him in just about. I mean, if I think he's going to win the championship, why wouldn't I take him in any head-to-head? It is an even year, so that's a Joey Logano type of year. He'll probably be back near the Final Four again. But why is he minus 130 when he got bounced? He got bounced in the round of 12 this past season. Like, it was not like he made some great run. And Penske's won 2 championships in a row, right? And Joey was one of those. He's won in the next gen car, all of this. But I don't know. For me, it's Tyler Reddick. Tyler is so talented. They're going to be so good. There's more, Legacy Motor Club. Put your pinky up. They're joining the Toyota fold. Does that bring more information to the camp? We know Denny's got huge expectations, and he was satisfied with or he was happy about the results they had this past season, but he wants more, right? And he has higher expectations, and he's not going to be satisfied until they keep getting more. I think Tyler Reddick, like, so many blown chances this past season. If they can close the deal this coming season, he's going to be the real deal. And so I love the Reddick side. And again, Joey's just going to be around, right? He's going to be in a top 12, top 8 guy. Maybe he can even make the Final Four. You can't put it past a veteran like that to get hot at the end at the right time. And he's done it before. He's a multi-time champion, all of that fun stuff. I saw, I'd have to look it up. I can't remember, but I'll find it because I want to read the Joey Logano stat I saw today. That was pretty cool. So I'll let you talk while I find that.
Just for reference, Reddick 6th place in last year's driver standings and Joey Logano 12th. Really, if we are sort of predicting a Tyler Reddick bounce up year, that is, I mean, 6th place is already kind of high up there, obviously. So if we're predicting a better year, then that only gives him about the top 4, the top 3, even the championship to beat Joey Logano. And the thing about Joey Logano is, albeit for the whole even year thing, I mean, and as a Giants fan, I've said it before, I know even year luck and I know how much fun it is to win on even years. But also the time, Joey Logano's not necessarily, I don't want to say he's old because that would make me even older.
How old is he, Rod?
Joey Logano is probably 34.
Oh, you're pretty close. 33.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's still like so young. And I mean, for race car drivers like in their prime, I found the stat I wanted, which this makes him sound really old, but he made his NASCAR Cup Series debut in 2008 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. He raced against Jeff Burton, Bill Elliott, Dave Blaney, David Gilliland, and Joe Nemechek in that race.
Oh my God, he's racing against all their sons
this
now.
Season. Yes, he's racing against Harrison Burton, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Todd Gilliland, and John Hunter Nemechek. So he's faced all of their dads in his debut. Now, as the elder statesman at 33, he'll be facing all of their children, which I thought was a pretty. It's just because it's crazy because he's not that old. But he started he was 18 when he got his opportunity and started at Gibbs, and that's kind of why you saw maybe it didn't work out quite as for at Gibbs because he was so young. And then now obviously he's had the career at Penske and it's been great. But yeah, that is a crazy little nuggets that I found this week that I thought was pretty insane, racing against all their dad and now take on all the sons.
Could you imagine if Tom Brady was starting with
have we checked this? He might have played against some fathers and sons.
I'm trying to think of who could very well be a son that he would play against. If he would have stuck around one more year, well, I can't remember the second defenseman.
Well, I mean, we've had fathers and sons race against each other in NASCAR. That's not necessarily anything. But yeah, just for that many of them to race against the dads and then now the children being in the middle, I thought it was kind of crazy.
Very few sports allow you that opportunity.
And I mean,
last that long.
For all of those sons to make it to the Cup Series, and sure they had some advantages and they had some but you don't just get there even if you're completely horrid. There's a few examples of some people here and there, right? But these guys, for the most part, even a guy like Harrison Burton, he did well in Xfinity and probably didn't deserve to go in the Cup Series, but he's there. And then Ryan Blaney's a champion, Chase Elliott's a champion. So yeah, these guys are not just it's not a joke for sure. So I thought that was a pretty interesting statistic.
Well, we're definitely on the Reddick side of this at plus 100, so pretty much even money on that one.
This is probably my favorite one too. So I'll be in Colorado this weekend. So it's a legal betting state. Oh boy. Better bring the extra money with me this weekend.
Better bring that bust that piggy bank open. All right, I'm definitely not busting the piggy bank open for this one. I'll probably just let this one alone and let somebody else who either likes any one of these RFK drivers to do it for me. They put the teammates together. Chris Buescher, Brad Keselowski. Although they've got Buescher as the slight favorite in this one, minus 120, Keselowski at minus 110. So not a real advantage either way here. It's not the Reddick Logano bet where it's kind of an auto at plus 100. Either one of these, I mean, Buescher, I can see why he's a slight favorite, right? Younger. Brad has proven that he'll help him get where he needs to go because he's probably not necessarily even driving for a championship this year. They all are. Don't shoot back at me. No, he's not, Rod. But look, as you start to prioritize different things, when you're in the heat of the moment, if you're thinking about your future, like Brad did pushing Buescher to a win, that's you're going to probably see more and more of that. You know what I'm saying? If it's between him and Buescher, he's probably going to lean the Buescher end of this from now on. So that's why I would think that Buescher would be the play here. But at minus 120, it still feels a little too rich for my blood.
I think that, yeah, I like the Keselowski side of this. Minus 110 is attractive price of it. Look, these cars, you want to look at the box scores, they're right next to each other every single week. Like, it doesn't get much more even than this. Sure, I know that Buescher made it around farther than Keselowski did this past season. Although, do you have the standings pulled up?
I was about to ask you. Want to make a?
I'm gonna guess that they were finished right next to each other. So I would take within. Yeah, there's nobody in between them. Is that correct?
You are absolutely correct.
Yeah,
Chris
exactly.
Buescher finished 7th. Brian Keselowski finished 8th. That's all season long.
Yeah, and it's I mean, if one of them's 13th, the other one's 14th. If one of them's 2nd, the other one's 3rd. Like, it's just that's how they are. All and props to them for being able to get those cars that close together and everything. But again, where there's not, you're probably going to just lean on whichever side the money's better on this, because it's not really a strong, like, I know Buescher won 3 races, but again, is that something that's going to be sustained, right? And he got hot during the season. He could do that. But Keselowski is not that far removed from being a great driver at Penske. And this has been a project and it's been a rebuilding. But now RFK's got 4 wins under him being an owner. He's got, I know we keep saying it, but he's got another win coming soon. It's this season. He's going to get one. And yeah, I just trust him more when it comes down to the championship race. He's the type of guy, and I think Buescher can be too. Obviously, we saw him win a bunch of races kind of in a row there, but can get hot at the right time, and either of these guys could. So you could go either way, but give me the lesser money route, or the smaller money, whatever, the smaller juiced upside. That's what I'm trying to say with Keselowski. And I just trust him to kind of continue to be there. Buescher, we just got to see it a little bit more, right? We're not used to him being there each and every single season. So we'll see if it sticks, much like the Byron thing. But give me the old reliable for now.
And here's the thing too, Buescher, right, won those 3 races like you talked about, but he still only finished 1 position better than Brad. What if Brad actually did win a race this season? I mean, that would have been probably the difference between putting him a position up, or, it just, there's a lot to be said about that. I still don't know that I want to touch this one. I feel like it is too close. I want more of a good feeling of a cushion, because if I'm only getting 1 position of a cushion, that's not enough for me, because it could be either one of these guys, and betting the same on either one of them is a push anyway. So kind of wouldn't make sense on that either. So but I mean, again, if you really do want to lean a direction, Brad Keselowski is the least juiced, but I still think Buescher may have the better chance of actually finishing 1 position better again than Brad.
Rod just hates the old guy.
I don't like old people. I don't.
He relates too much to them.
Well, yeah, because I literally just got done screaming at the people to get off my lawn with shaking my fist. So, I mean, it's what happens when you get to be my age. I just need a rocking chair out there is all I need.
Yeah, hopefully somebody's listening for Christmas.
I was about to say Amazon wish list is in my Twitter bio there. You can click on that, buy me a rocking chair and a cup of tea. All right, next. Wait, is that what old people drink? I don't know.
I'm not old. I wouldn't know.
No, Ryan Blaney. Oh, by the way, happy anniversary to you. I don't know if that's too much information for the crowd.
Well, I mentioned that earlier when we were talking about Army Navy. So yeah, 13 years my wife's put up with me. I don't know how she's stuck around that long, but
I don't know what the initial over under was set at, but I think the over got cleared.
Oh yeah. I was 18, going into the military. I was deployed. Let's see, we got married on December 10th, and I was deployed on the 28th of December. So we had 18 days, our first Christmas married, and then I was gone. So she stuck with me through the Afghanistan deployment, all the stuff. So yeah, she's pretty awesome.
Beautiful woman for sticking with you for that long, for sure. So anyways, yes, happy anniversary. I don't know where that came from, but yeah.
I don't either, but it's great.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the next one then. Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, the reigning champion, actually the defending champion, right? Because we can call him the defending champion.
Yes, he is currently defending it.
Because he is not. We haven't started the new season yet. So Ryan Blaney minus 120, Denny Hamlin minus 110. I mean, look, you've set it up earlier in the year, earlier in the offseason, rather, about the championship hangover and how obviously that becomes a real thing. Joey Logano felt the sting of it this year for sure. Kyle Larson obviously felt the sting of it last year. So if we think this, and yet Denny Hamlin has sort of remained consistently not a champion, but still in the championship conversation, how big of a step does Blaney take? And then, or step back rather, does Blaney take? And is it even worth sinking minus 120 into him to beat Denny Hamlin in this head-to-head?
Yeah, no, this is an easy Denny Hamlin for me. I love Ryan Blaney a lot. Ryan Blaney's corner, the whole thing, but the champion's curse is real. I need to dig up those statistics. I will do that sometime in the near future so I actually can give them out on the show. But it's not, the championship hangover is real. It's not good. You've got to just go the unders on Blaney until we see something differently. Like Jimmy Johnson was the last person, and that was, I think, his 5th in a row or something like that at that point, where he was just back to back to back to back. But since then, every single champion, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano this past season, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, like all of these guys have had that hangover, have had that Madden curse type of season where it's just not as good. And really, you look at Brian Blaney, like didn't have the best season, got hot at the right time, made the playoff run. It's like the New York Giants, just like, some of these baseballs or whatever it is, like, and that's what we want, right? That's the reason for the playoff format. And he's the champion, and it's awesome. But Denny Hamlin is going to be there each and every season. Is he going to win the championship at this point? Probably not, right? As much as I want him to. Keeps seeming like maybe not. But, last season should have made the Final Four, got Hail Melloned out at the last second. This season should have made the Final Four, had the issues. Where was that? Was that Homestead? I can't even remember. This whole end of the season ran together. It doesn't really matter anyways, but the engine troubles, and he would have pointed in had it not been, for where he was running late in that race compared to where he ends up finishing, losing the points and all that. So like Denny Hamlin, again, you could just count on him to be there. He's at least going to be in the mix. He's going to be one of the last 8 drivers, maybe one of the last 4 drivers. He's going to win the championship. At this point, you probably can't really bet on it because he just doesn't ever do it. But is Ryan Blaney going to make it back? This was his first Final Four, I do believe. I don't think he'd been to the Final Four before. Again, had that great season a couple seasons ago, wins 3 races, in contention kind of every week. Then he just disappears and won a lot of stages last year, was kind of consistent up toward the front, but didn't win any races. Comes back, wins the championship this year, wins a couple of races, but inconsistency. Hamlin's going to be there, and he's the cheaper price. Again, I think this is a pretty easy one for me to go on the Denny Hamlin side.
Yeah. Again, I with Hamlin just kind of being that consistent front runner, not necessarily always finishing at the front, but running in the front. Yeah, I definitely think Denny Hamlin. And again, I know he's not old, but time's starting to work against some of these guys. They're owners now. They have different priorities, and at some point you're going to see that shift. But I think Denny is still running hot, and I think he'll be fine this year. And he's still got to be able to podcast about something. So I think he's going to want to continue this. So, all right, that's the driver head-to-heads. Let's move on now to the team head-to-heads. There's 3 of them out there for us to kind of sink our teeth into. Really, it's a matter of this team versus this team, and whichever team has the highest finishing driver is the one that cashes this ticket. So the first of which is RCR, Richard Childress Racing, versus Trackhouse. And let's be honest with you, this is Kyle Busch versus Ross Chastain. The other 2 in this one, we love Daniel Suarez. Don't get us wrong. Austin Dillon is.
I like Austin Dillon, but
yeah.
This is Kyle Busch versus Ross Chastain. And what's the number on this one?
Minus 115 on either end.
115 either end. Well, which way are you going on this, Rod?
Part of me wants to go Ross Chastain.
Well, this really is a tough one.
Yeah.
Because I want to go Kyle Busch, and I've talked him up, and I think he's going to, I thought he was going to have a great season, and he did, and fell off at the end. But for Ross, makes the Final Four in 2 seasons ago, and then this season doesn't make the Final Four, but he wins at Phoenix to end the season. Pretty hard to bet against that.
It's just a matter of how the regular season is going to go for these guys, though, because if it goes the way of Kyle Busch, right, where he just looks unstoppable early on and then falls apart toward the end of the season.
Well, and that's the key to a lot of this is who gets hot at the right time, and that's a major, and that's for any sport, right? I mean, if you're going to bet on the AFC champion, then you got to get the team that gets hot at the right time as well. But oh man, I really think you got to kind of go the Ross route, just because we've kind of started to really see it from Ross, and he made the miraculous championship 4 run. Then he comes out and wins at Phoenix. Like, as much as we kind of love to hate on him sometimes, he's a pretty good driver, and he continues to show he's got it. And Trackhouse seems to have the money, and they seem to be putting the program out there. And I think Kyle's going to be just fine as well, and I expect him to be in the mix. But man, does Ross have the higher ceiling at this point? Is that?
And let's put it this way: I feel like when it comes to Kyle Busch, we have seen the best of Kyle Busch. Like I don't know that there's any other than a Daytona 500, any other real benchmark that we can make and give Kyle Busch that would make us go, yes, he's definitely the greatest on earth, because a lot of people already feel that way. A lot of people already think that about him. So we have seen the best of him. Therefore, if he stays there, then it's status quo. And we're going to be like, okay, well, fine. That's Kyle Busch. But for Ross Chastain, I don't know that we've seen the absolute best of Ross Chastain yet. We've seen some fantastic stuff. Yeah. We've seen some jaw-dropping things from Ross Chastain, but we haven't seen the best of him. And not to say that I think this season will be the best of him, but I think as we've watched his career progress, he's getting to the point where we may start to see the best of Ross Chastain on a consistent basis. So if that's this season, then Trackhouse in this matchup over RCR kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's the way you got to go. I mean, I don't know why Ross cashed me that 40-1 at Coda 2 seasons ago. I should love the dude. I don't know why. I just have such a tough time with Ross, and he's gotten me a couple times on some other bets, and I love Kyle. Like, again, I was so big on him going into last season. Started off great, made me look smart for a few months at least, and then he fell off. But yeah, I think you got to go with Ross or Trackhouse in this case. I will say, I mean, if you're going to have to put it on the other guys, I would take Dillon over Suarez. I know that Suarez got a win last season, whoop-de-doo, but I mean, yeah, as far as a team, I do think that Childress is stronger, but I mean, I would be shocked if it came down to Suarez or Dillon in this matchup. It's likely going to be the Busch or Chastain part of it, and so yeah, I think you got to go with Chastain. Because he's really proved it at the end of these seasons that he can kind of put it together. Just haven't seen that from Kyle lately. Not again, we know he can do it, but yeah, give me the Chastain, the Trackhouse side of the match.
Well, okay, so last season it came down to this was the order of finishing, right? It was Chastain, it was Busch, it was Suarez, it was Dillon. So again, that's just contextual.
Dillon just had the worst season he's ever had. I think it was so bad.
It was a pretty disappointing season. I'm sure he's going to want to go to the drawing board on that.
If you want to believe the rumors, this could be Austin Dillon's final season.
Ooh.
He steps away into management over there at RCR, and number 3 is piloted by Austin Hill in the future, but who knows?
Well, we'll see how that works out for everybody involved. So, all right, the next one is 2311 versus RFK. It's a pretty interesting matchup here. Obviously, we know that it's Toyota versus Ford. Where the first one was Ford versus Chevy, but this is Toyota versus Ford. Obviously, it's Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick, so you can't even. This one's not a throwaway, I don't think, because either one of these guys,
all 4 of these drivers. I mean, yeah,
and Kozlowski and Buescher, which we just got done talking about. So, really, honestly, it's a matter of does Tyler Reddick have the type of season you think he's going to have? If that is the case, then we're definitely going to be taking the minus 140. I'm sorry, the plus 110.
No, yeah, you're getting the good side of this again.
Yeah.
Why are they sleeping on 2311? What are we doing here?
I don't know, but it's plus 110, minus 140 for RFK. So they're
minus one.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you're gonna stand these up, I suppose that you could say together, Buescher and Kozlowski are a little stronger. Maybe though, like, is it? Bubba's not that far off. I mean, he had some really good races. He's won a couple of times. Like, he's going to continue to progress as well. And again, to make my argument, Tyler Reddick, like that's the only thing, I think he's going to just be massive this season. I think he's going to get it done. So plus 110 for sure. And of course, you look at 2311, and I think Reddick is definitely the 1A to Bubba being the second driver over there. And with RFK, it is kind of a toss-up. But I think that, you've got Reddick up here, and then you've kind of got these two guys here, and then Bubba's just below. But if you balance it all out, I don't think that RFK is minus 140 better than 2311 by any means. So, yeah, give me the 2311 side. And again, I think Bubba's going to continue to progress. We saw him make the playoffs. He made the round of 12 and had a strong season. And I think that that's going to continue to move forward as well. So, yeah, 2311 all day long for me on this one.
Well, and so 2311, 4 wins on the season as far as both drivers got 2 wins, whereas for RFK, it was just those 3 wins from Buescher. But I love, because your illustration just nailed.
Bubba had 2 wins? No, he
didn't. Bubba had, oh no, he had no wins. I'm sorry. I was wrong. My eyes were on the wrong line.
I was like, wait a minute. I don't remember what.
No. Fake news. I'm just making shit up as I go along. So anyways, but even still, like it was still 2 wins to 3 wins. And yet your illustration was perfect, where it was Reddick in 6th, and then Buescher and Keselowski in 7th and 8th, and then Bubba Wallace in 10. All 4 of these drivers were inside the top 10 in championship points last year. So that should tell you just exactly how close together these drivers are going to end up probably being again this year, with what we think is going to be a pretty close season as well. So I'm with you on the plus money on 2311, because it just seems like that is probably what's going to happen again. I think this is how it's
even if it was even money on both sides, if they were even, I would take the 2311 side. So you're going to give me plus money. Obviously that's a bonus. I mean, if, let's say Tyler Reddick maybe doesn't have the season I think he's going to have, could Bubba Wallace still beat both RFK guys? Absolutely. I don't think that's, maybe he's definitely the underdog compared to the two of them, but it's definitely not a crazy thing. He only finished a couple spots behind him this season. He's still young and up and coming. I mean, so I just definitely big on the 2311 side for me. I might be doubling down on 2311 and Tyler Reddick to win these, because I think that's the right way to go.
Again, at plus 110, it's definitely a better deal than minus 140 for RFK. It just, as much as we think that they're going to be a good team, and they're going to be a good team, I just don't know that they're going to top Tyler Reddick this season at all. So I like that. Yep. All right. The last matchup, it's one I think the books really want you to lean on this one. I know that they juice this side up pretty heavily for you, but I think there's a lot of people that are still going to take this side of it. And that's Hendrick Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing, 2 powerhouse teams, got all 4 of the best drivers in the entire sport in that. Hendrick,
you got 8 of the best drivers, really.
Well,
okay. Yeah, we'll see.
I would give 4 out there, 4 of the 8.
Which 4 are you picking then? Because you got to at least go with 5, I think.
Well,
how do you narrow it down to 4?
Well, I've got Larson and Elliott from Hendrick, right?
Okay.
And then I've got Hamlin and Truex.
Oh, William Byron's getting the shaft from Rod.
Who? What?
William Byron's getting the shaft from Rod.
I still don't. I'm not sold. Like, and Bowman for sure. I mean, you didn't even see. It's funny that you didn't.
Wow,
even see
I knew Bowman was left on the outside.
Like, poor guy. I love him. That 48.
And I get the Gibbs. I mean, Gibbs is young. I get it, but I'm gonna make counter argument in a second. But and Bell, again, you were throwing a lot of shade at him for being in the top 4 2 seasons in a row.
I still just don't see it. It's like me continuing to be on this network. I don't know how I'm still on this network. Like, I just skate along, and people, I'm good enough to stay here, but I'm not bad enough to get cut. That's kind of where the bell is for me.
You heard me sing at the beginning of this, so
Bell's a good enough driver to continue to be in the seat. But that, because it can't do anything else. That's like me.
Oof. Jeez. Christopher Bell just catching strays today.
He can come and say the same thing about my show, and he'd be like, "Listen, this guy is horrible," and I'd be like, "You are absolutely correct." I have
well, which side of this are you on?
I'm this curious. Is a tough
one. I don't know. But you mentioned the odds. It's Hendrick is minus 135, Gibbs plus 105.
I don't. I don't see how you could go against Hendrick, but I also don't see how you can lay minus 135 given that, God, it's 36 races is a lot of races to get your ass handed to you. So like it just feels risky with these drivers, right? Because we're talking about the elite, right? We're talking about the elite drivers in the sport and the razor thin margin of talent, of equipment, of everything goes into all of this. Because we could spend an entire show talking about just this matchup and break down every single driver and how they could perform and why it would lead to a certain lean on this one. So I'm saying that I would probably take the Hendrick side of this, but I would also not be surprised if all four of them missed the final four just because of some crazy stuff that goes on that we can't predict. So I don't know. I'm saying Hendrick, but I just don't like the price.
Yeah, plus 105. I don't know how you cannot take the Joe Gibbs side of thing. Two parts to it here. You've got the two best teams, right? It's Hendrick and Gibbs. They're at the top. I don't think there's any question to that. Yes, Penske's won 2 championships in a row. They've been good, yes, but these two teams are up here all by themselves, and then everyone else kind of tears down underneath of that. You look at it too, and you got these 8 drivers here, right? And there's elite guys on both sides. Like you said, you probably got 2 guys on each side that are kind of more, but really I can see 7 of the 8 of these guys being the champion at the end of the season. Which one do you think is not the champion? Sorry, Alex Bowman. But Denny Hamlin too, I guess. So there you go. But no, I mean, really, Alex Bowman doesn't feel like a champion. But I mean, Larson's done it. Elliott's done it. Byron 6 wins this past season, and Bowman, again, he kind of just hangs around. But I don't know that he's a champion. On the other side, Denny Hamlin is one of the greatest drivers, if not the greatest driver to ever drive and not have won one. And you've got Truex, who's a former champion and regular season champion this past season. You've got Bell, who's made it to the Final Four the last 2 seasons. Again, if you're getting it there, and Ty Gibbs, who's one of the best, if not the best, up-and-coming talent in Xfinity champion just a couple of seasons ago. And is he there yet? I don't know, but we're going to see that big step this season. So you're giving me, I don't know. And again, there's going to be guys from this in the Final Four. Of these 8 drivers, I mean, the odds of these 8 drivers all missing the Final Four is like minus 10,000, right? Somebody from this group, probably multiple of these 8 guys, is making the Final Four. And so, yes, the body of the work of the season, but if you're going to put it down to just these 4 guys battling it out, or 4 of these guys battling it out at the end, you got to take the plus money side of that, because Kyle Larson, even if his pit crew gets him out, maybe he isn't going to win the race like he did this past season, or his brakes fail instead of Christopher Bell's. And so I don't know how you can't take the plus money side of it. And I feel like, even though you probably put, Larson is the top of the top, but I still feel like Gibbs, their 4 is stronger than the Hendrick 4. So you're kind of getting that extra guy. Alex Bowman just doesn't do it for me. But yeah, I think you got to go the Gibbs side here at plus 105.
Yeah. And if you're going to do anything with Larson, I would suggest putting money on him to make the championship 4. I would, we'll find other ways to bet on Kyle Larson's futures, because, this Hendrick Motorsports one, again, at plus 105, like you said, for Joe Gibbs, that's the only reason that you need it. It's a fun little speculation. It's a fun ticket to hold throughout the entire year. That way, at the end of it, it's something you can brag about when, there's your clout at the end of the year when you're like, I was holding this ticket from the beginning. So, but I will add this. So when we talk about championship standings, it was Larson, it was Byron, then it was Bell and Hamlin, right? So those are, again, back to back to back to back. It was 2 Hendrick, 2 Gibbs.
And that was 2 Hendrick guys not having a full season shot at making it there too. So to your Hendrick point of things, right? Elliott could have very easily been there, and Bowman was the points leader before he got hurt. So that still counts for something, even though he hadn't necessarily been as dominant as we've seen the other 3 guys in that camp be. It counts for something that he was consistent and running up front.
Not enough to be considered in this, apparently.
Apparently not. Sorry, Alex. But, hey, maybe he'll have his William Byron season this year.
Maybe he will. I mean,
we'll talk about that when we get to the win totals, assuming I haven't looked at any of the win totals yet, but
we'll do that for sure tomorrow. I think that's a good show for tomorrow. What do you think?
I love it.
Perfect.
I'm not even going to look. We just realized before we got on that they were available, and I've not looked at them, so we'll have to do that.
Beautiful. Let's do that. So let's wrap this one up, and we'll come back tomorrow with some win totals for you. See, there's stuff to talk about in the off season. We'll make sure that we keep this feed nice and warm for you as we start to head toward the Daytona 500. But in the meantime, Cody, where can they find you and all of your auditions for The Voice?
Only 55 days until the Clash of the Coliseum. So really, it's right around the corner. You will not hear any more of me singing probably ever again. I will avoid those bets in the future. And I deeply apologize for earlier on in the show. But otherwise, you can find me on the X at Husker_Zeeb. Find all my work over there. And follow the show on Twitter as well, NASCAR Gambling. Check us out on YouTube. All the fun stuff. Be back tomorrow with more. I'm excited.
I am too. I am also on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio. Everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook View, still throwing down NFL props. Learning how to speak properly is something on my list of to-do in the offseason as well. Anyways, we'll see you guys tomorrow. We got some win totals to go over, so we'll keep you nice and occupied through the rest of the week. And until then, everyone, let's go racing and let it ride.
Sweet as a red thing, cast away all the miles.